should not confirm any Bush nominee to the Supreme Court except in extraordinary circumstances. They must prove by actions, not words, that they are in the mainstream, rather than we have to prove that they are not.
That was Chuck Schumer. We played that earlier. July of '07. 18 months left in George W. Bush's term. And there's Chuck Schumer saying we should not confirm anybody. And now, of course, Chuck Schumer and his ilk are saying, what do you mean? We got to confirm it. It's Constitution. Joining us now on the Malzberg panel, Jane Velez-Mitchell. She, of course, founder of JaneUnchained.com and New York Times bestselling author. And Tom Tancredo, former congressman from the great state of Colorado and former presidential candidate and Breitbart.com columnist. Okay, let me start with you, Congressman. Even Alan Dershowitz earlier said that if the shoe were on the other foot right now, it would be the Democrats saying, well, we can't confirm a nominee with this president having 10 months left.
Of course, and that we actually have something in the lexicon now, in the political lexicon, saying that when people are borked, it is to say that they have been so terribly treated by the Senate that it is now, as I say, it's a word that we use in a context beyond even the nomination process, and it happened as a result of what the Democrats did to a Republican nominee. So, yeah, there's certainly nothing new about the ideological debate that goes on in the Senate over an appointee, especially in times like this. And for Schumer to suggest there is a constitutional, he says, there's nothing in the Constitution to say that the president is restricted to a 3-year term. Well, of course not. There's nothing there. There's also nothing in the Constitution saying that the Supreme Court has to have 9 members on it. It's totally determined by Congress. At the first Supreme Court, when the nation was constructed, was 6 members. It grew to 10 in 1863, back down to 9. But remember that indeed FDR wanted to make it 15. In order to move his ideological agenda.
Yeah, well, if it ever went to 15, I think Jane Velez-Mitchell would be appointed. Jane, your reaction to the hypocrisy of the left here?
Some old news clip aside, I thought it was incredibly disrespectful and obstructionist for the Republican leadership to come out literally within hours of Justice Scalia's death and say, nobody, absolutely nobody under the sun that President Obama suggests we would consider.
That's what Schumer said. You call it an old news clip. That's what Schumer said with 18 months left in his term.
You know what's interesting? I had just listened to an old clip of Justice Scalia speaking and saying that he does not want the court to be politicized and that ideology is one thing, but the court should never be used for political gains. And that's exactly what the Republican leadership is doing. And they have an entire history of obstructionism. This isn't coming in a vacuum. This is a group of individuals, no matter what President Obama suggests, they refuse to consider it. And this is the ultimate insult.
Right, well,
and you know what? Let Senator Cruz go up there and filibuster, because he's going to look like the epitome of the irresponsibility of this Republican
Congressman, in fact, the history of torpedoing and harassing and really, you say borking, I'll say Clarence Thomasing nominees. It goes back to, when Reagan, the left is saying now, well, look, Justice Kennedy was appointed in Reagan's final year, but that's because months and months and months went by when Reagan's first nominee, Justice Bork, was borked, and then Ellsberg, or maybe it was in reverse order, Ginsburg, the Democrats harassed him. He had to drop out. So then it was Kennedy as the third choice.
This feigned outrage on the part of liberals about the fact that Republicans really and truly want to have someone more conservative on the Supreme Court than Democrats do. I mean, and they're actually going to say we're going to block any sort of movement in that direction. Well, you know what? It is not new. It's the way the court has been run, and it's the way nominations have gone for a long, long time. There's nothing new about it, and no matter how outraged that liberals want to sound about it, it is the way it is. Now, you know what? That was what was unique and wonderful about Scalia. he was a true constitutionalist, even more than a conservative. On more than one occasion, he voted with what would have been thought of as the liberal side of the equation because he said, you know what? The Constitution is more important. He said the policy may be stupid, but the Constitution, but it is.
Final word, Jane. Jane, 20 seconds.
I think that President Obama should nominate Jane Kelly, who is mentored by the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and put them in a tough spot by nominating somebody reasonable that they've backed in the past and showing how.
All right. We shall see. Up next,
appreciated
panel. Up next, former Supreme Court Clerk for Justice Thomas, Carrie Severino. Don't go away.